interacting with me. I mean, I really appreciate it, all our conversations and so
Yeah,
on.
yeah, sure. I appreciate it too. Also, it's it's very useful to us, and it's something that we seldom find in
Yeah.
life. And so, yeah, I mean, well, goodness me, how many conversations have we had? It's been going on for years, but we've most certainly had over 100 conversations, I would think.
Yeah, I think so too.
Yeah.
It's not that it's easy to hold a count right now. Yeah.
Yeah, that's right. So, you said you'd watched one of my recent videos. Was that the one about the Sam Vaknin?
I started off watching that. I haven't watched it fully yet,
Right.
so to speak.
Yeah.
Um, that video came right after Sam Vaknin had done his update. So I thought at first that you would talk to Sam Vaknin,
Right.
but it would be cool if you did.
Yes. Well, I'd love to engage with all these different sorts of people. Um, but the one that I've often tried, I've tried with David Icke, I've tried with Rupert Sheldrake, I've tried with Russell Brand, I tried with several others over the years, and never hear anything back. And you see, lots of people, they have their format of what they want to say and how they wanted to deliver it, and
Yes.
they've got their notes and this, that, and the other, and they don't like being in a conversation whereby they don't know what to expect or where it's going to go. They think it's probably going to be bad for their product, and they may be embarrassed, and also there may be a level of haughtiness, thinking that who are you wanting to speak with me? You've only got 2,500 subscribers, because all the people I want to speak to, of course, they've got hundreds of thousands.
Yeah.
Um, and so there is this hierarchical thing. And of course, they can't be speaking to every Tom, Dick, and Harry, because, they get inundated. So, I get where they're coming from. It's very complex when you get a lot of traffic when you're up there, Um,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
so, unless you really know someone or you recommended someone who is considered to be on one of the lower rungs of the ladder, then most people wouldn't bother. And when you look at all these people out there on the circuit, they only speak to themselves. All the big names and all the big numbers. That's all they do. Uh,
Yeah, they should at least be like. I know my brother, for an instance, he also have a YouTube channel, but he don't have many subscribers.
mm,
And but he still makes many conversations, and but it's only with people who have like a Christian value system that he
right,
makes his conversation, so to speak. But
right.
I have a thought about maybe he could have you on, or maybe you can talk to him, but maybe he just want to have a Christians on. I don't know. I haven't involved myself into that too much,
Well, I
I
remember.
just,
I remember
yeah,
years ago, you showed him some of my videos, and you said maybe he'd like to speak with me, and I said, yeah, sure, come on together, or separately, but nothing ever came from it.
yeah.
So, does he watch any of my videos these days, or is he?
No, I don't think that he's often when he goes into stuff, he does it very hardcore.
Mm,
Uh, he's not closed-minded or anything like that. He looks into all kinds of stuff, but I have recognized that all the podcasters he have on his channel is like either they are Orthodox or they are Catholics in some way, even if they not necessarily spend the whole their podcast talking about that, you know.
Right.
I know he had some Catholic on which was very into psychedelics as well, you know.
Interesting.
Yeah, so there is all those kinds of the Christians out there as well. The last one he talked to, I found him to be a decent guy. He had wrote a book. He was a boxer and so on. He seemed to be a very emotional guy, but a boxer, you know, at the elite level, so to speak.
Yeah.
So there's all those kind of people, but I barely talk with my brother about his project, so to speak. It feels like he's doing his things, and he don't want anybody intervening there. You know how you kind of feel things out before you just go
Yeah.
at it. You know.
Yeah, nothing forthcoming. He's got his little niche, and he probably doesn't want your perspective because he knows and feels that it's going to be somewhat different to his.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it could be like that as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Because he have. I mean, he has bought me like 6 books in Orthodox Christianity. I read them, but I still I read them, and I liked all of the books. There's nothing bad about the books themselves. It's just that I'm not that way, you know. And he has his reasons for going towards that, and I maybe not able to understand his position fully, you know, because he had his journey, and it's very
Yeah.
like that, you know.
So I take it he's a believer then. He is in actual fact a Christian.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's curious.
And he has had many experiences of the supernatural himself as well, and so on.
Well, mention to him again that I've had lots of these experiences, and I'm sure we could have a very good conversation.
Yeah.
So see how he feels about that.
Yeah, I will tell him that next time I see him, you know.
Cool.
Because I haven't seen him for a couple of months now, and we haven't talked for maybe a month also.
Right.
So, but we will see each other for Christmas or something like that, and I will tell him right away, you know.
Yeah. Okay.
Yeah.
So you was watching that video with Sam Vatkin.
Yeah.
Did you have any points on that?
The first thing I thought about, I didn't. I'm not done watching it, you know, because I needed to, like, just couldn't focus at the moment. What I thought about was this vigilance, which you said you had built up, and so on. And that is something that I deal with a lot, you know. And I'm very sensitive to the milieu and the environment and so on, you know. And I also, of course, traumatized in a way. So if people act in a certain way, I will keep an eye on them, you know. I don't like when people walk behind me and so on, you know. If I sit on a bus, I always sit furthest back, so I don't have any seat behind me, you know. I don't like attacks from behind and so on, you know. Even if it barely happens, but it has happened when I was younger, and often as soon as somebody comes too close to me behind me, I move around like that, you know. And sometimes it's often just a person that is innocent, you know. And I can feel the vibes of other people as well, you know. So if you say, I hear they walk in a certain way, if they have a certain facial feature which says that they are on drugs, because you can sometimes feel other people's internal energy. So I don't think I'm wrong about what I feel for the most time. because in the area I live, there's a lot of criminals and so on. Yeah.
Right.
So, but at the same time, this vigilance is only when I'm in Sweden, because it's if something goes out of this pattern, which I am used to, or that I think shall, like you act in a way that I keep my eyes on you or something, or if we are in the same store or something, and I see somebody, okay, keep an eye behind the back also, so not coming up any knives or fucking things like that,
Right.
and even if it's like more chaotic in Thailand and so on, people still have respect towards each other, it's kind of very kind people, most Thai people I have met,
Yeah. So your hypervigilance, where
Yeah.
would you say that stemmed from?
Especially many things, but I also have been like when been in fights or been attacked from behind with bottles and so on. So it stems from that, yeah. Um, so, but it's pretty much because I think to myself, I go calmly meditative, and then all of a sudden somebody comes walking behind me, and I think to myself, don't do this now, and I do it anyway, and
Right.
turn around, like that.
Mm.
And sometimes it has happened that I kicked one on the leg as well. Yeah, I have also in the past many years ago when it was a friend that came behind me. Hadn't seen him for a long time. It was when I had a lot of people around me at the time. He did something he should not do. He came from behind like that,
Yeah. Yeah.
So I just kicked him in the balls and punched him and so on,
Right.
because you should know better. You don't come behind anybody like that, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. Particular if you've grown up tough and you've been attacked and been in fights and grown up around dodgy people.
Yeah,
Yeah. So this hypervigilance, it's a common trait with people that have suffered trauma, because and it came about when I was 4 years old. you know,
yeah,
but it was reiterated in recent times with the shooting. But all my life, I'd been watching people, and noticing things, always noticing things, and yeah, lots of people thought that that was strange. Why I notice so many things that seem to them to be unimportant, but it's difficult to turn it off. It's not just about people, but it's about everything. It's about your whole environment, and that is obviously it's a protection mechanism. But when the psychiatrists speak about people with post-traumatic stress, and that they are highly tense all the time, and it's people may think, and it may be correct for lots of people who have hypervigilance, that it's all this sort of thing because they're scared inside. Well, I'm not like that. I'm very,
yeah,
very confident inside, and probably
yeah,
even too confident, because when I was living on the outskirts of an African ghetto, I never even bothered to take precautions. And that's why a robber could enter my house, because the windows weren't locked, and all that sort of stuff. So I don't live in fear.
yeah.
I just have an awareness of potential.
Yeah, the thing is with me as well. I don't live in fear either, but it's when certain things, if it could be sometimes it has just been a leaf that have moved on the ground, like So I turn around like this, and it comes from nowhere. It's like I'm totally calm and I just walking, and then some sound comes,
Yeah.
and I start to get aware.
Hmm.
Um, but I have never cared where I walk. I walk wherever I want,
Yeah.
and so on. But I have heard people that have said, "No, no, you don't walk there at night," and so on. And I walked at that place many, many times at night. I don't care.
Yeah. And so, it's how you walk, it's how you carry yourself, it's what you look like.
Yeah,
If you look and act like a victim, then the chances are you'll be one.
yeah,
Yeah. So yeah, that video I made, it's a very good one, and there's lots of useful information in that, and it's very interesting. Um, in that Sam Vaknin was speaking about a label that used to be in the DSM, but is no longer in the DSM. And he's saying that it should be because what is in the DSM now, like just regular post traumatic stress, and then complex post traumatic stress, those two things don't encapsulate the variety of label which he was speaking about. The acronym, and it's for a enduring personality change brought about by um, a deep traumatic event. So, for those that have had these deep traumatic events, then things can manifest for many, many years, and they can get worse and get bigger. And so I look at my situation, and my psychiatrist is obviously he's going to um, find me very complex because I'm not just dealing with the trauma of mother and the trauma of being shot in the bed. I'm dealing with a spiritual awakening. And that gives me a very, very different state of consciousness, which he isn't trained for.
yeah. I think it's similar with me as well, yeah, because I can relate to you very well, but there is certain things that is like it is this pace which the changes has come about, which make it like very hard to comprehend the previous me from this me that is now, so to speak.
Yeah, yeah. Well, I mean,
So
in the video today, I don't know whether you saw this bit, but I'm saying, when we have this spiritual awakening, we we transform in a way that our friends and families do not recognize,
yes,
and lots of your friends and family members can have resentment um, because of how you've changed, and they don't want you to change. They want you to be the person they always knew. And but I look back on those younger me's, so to speak, and I'm like, well, I don't see the relationship between the so-called me 20, 30, 40, 50 years ago. I just don't see it. I don't feel it. Those images are like ghosts, and I don't have any allegiance to them. You know.
yes, yes. I know when you said that as well, and I thought to myself that I had so many people around me in the past and so on, but I never felt like it was a loss when people went away. So it was just like, yeah, if you don't want to be with me, that's okay,
Yeah,
like that. And of course, certain people were people that were like partying and stuff like as well, and I did not do that to that extent. So where I will meet them was when we were active in the organization of nationalism and so on,
mm,
so to speak. And uh, I often, before 2010, I never knew really what friendship was because I held the ideal higher than I held the people, you know.
yeah, yeah,
So my ideal of what we were doing was you do this, I do this, and we are comrades like that.
mhm, yeah,
So it wasn't from after 2010 that I started to understand more what friendship was, you know.
yeah,
Of course, I have always have standards and so on for how we act towards each other and so on by principle.
yeah,
So that I think that was much the thing, and then all of a sudden, certain people were scaled away, certain people still existed, and so on. And some people said, "Andre, you have changed," and so on. Yeah. Never cared much about that, you know, because was on my route, so to speak,
yeah,
and maybe they got a little bit awkward about that. I don't know,
yeah.
like
Well,
that.
I think you see the whole Julius Evola thing
Yeah,
about a certain idealism um, with how to live our lives with honor and chivalry and all that sort of stuff. I've always had very high standards of which I expect from people.
yeah,
And invariably, they've never met them. Uh, in actual fact, probably I would say nobody's ever lived up to my expectations because it's kind of like the expectation that Julius Evola would speak about. Uh, a friend would be a blood brother. He'd
yeah.
be the sort of person that's gonna do anything for you more than a brother, within a family. Someone you've chose to be a brother with. It's like Red Indians when they cut their palm, and they become blood brothers because they've got deep respect and they honor each other and they'll put their lives on the line. I've got some sort of idea of that, and I don't know where that idea's come from, whether it's just an archetype variety of an idea, or whether it's because I was let down so many times. I thought, I can't trust none of you fuckers. You're all weak. You're all weak and you're pathetic and um, you just fail yourselves, let alone anybody else. And I could never imagine anybody having my back. That's why I had to have my own back all my life.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, because we were in the past, we had each other's back. We had that very well, and we would hold each other accountable and so on. And there was people who like we got a bit scared and so on, and there was one guy. Said like. No, I don't feel like I want to be on this kind of things which you do when it gets immensely violent and so on. And because he said that, we respected it because he was honest about it, you
Hmm.
know. But there was another guy, he kept on running away when things happened and so on. So we got angry with him, and eventually we needed to like let him pay some money for that as well because he ran away too much and
He
so on.
had to pay
And
a fine.
yeah,
Oh
And
my god.
then he leaked our doxed our information to
Oh my god.
Antifa in
No.
Sweden and so on.
Yeah.
You know.
No, nothing worse than like a freaking stool pigeon,
Yeah.
or secret agent within the team. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's lots of these things that we have to take into consideration, and when we look at them closely, when we analyze them, we can see exactly why we are like we are, and
Yeah.
this is where the lack of free will stems from, for the greater part. Because when we look at what we are and how we have become, then we become very predictable in the narrow parameters of things that we're going to continue to do and the variety of people that we're going to continue to be. We're never going to be weak, super compassionate, good Samaritans. We just, like the Catholic Church says, show me a boy from 1 to 7 and I'll show you the man. Because during those formative years, they program that mind, and or even if they didn't program the mind, if they got to know that mind, well, they'll be able to predict the variety of man is going to be. And it's pretty straightforward once you've got a good understanding of psychology. And so, with all these things that happen to us, we are on a particular trajectory, and that could be it could be uh, it could be read. It could be guessed at. What's the word I'm looking for? It's a bit like the Minority Report, it's kind of like preempting, people doing crimes and things like that.
Yeah. Yeah, to be able to see the things from before it ever happened, so
Yeah,
to
yeah.
speak.
To
Yeah.
to be able to preempt something, or see what sort of variety. You see, my old man, when I was growing up, I had an elder brother, one elder brother 2 years older, and my old man always used to have the greatest of respect for the character that I was. And he considered my elder brother not to have a strong character. And I remembered listening to my dad speaking to my stepmom one night when they thought we was asleep, and the old man says, "I'll be the one that will be having a go at him when I'm older." And he already knew that I would be the one which would confront him, and knock him down a peg and usurp him, that sort of thing.
Hmm.
So he knew it wasn't going to be my elder brother, and I beat him at arm wrestling when I was 15, and he was a strong manual working man.
Hmm.
But yeah, so he saw that in me. But then, when we start to look at other things, I'm always debating, discussing things like compassion with AI. And in recent
Yeah.
times, I had a couple of good chats, and I'm speaking about the utility of compassion. And I'm saying, well, look, I think that word could even be eradicated from language, because I don't think it is in actual fact a thing. I just think it's a useless concept. And then he was arguing against, and I'm saying, well, give me some instantiations. And when he gave me some instantiations, I would propose logic and reason, and he would have to concede that in that instance, compassion wasn't necessary. Then I'd give him another one. Oh, in that instance, compassion wouldn't be necessary. And I'd say, look, if you look at how we're supposed to be compassionate, and compassion is empathy and pity and um, feeling affinity and sharing someone else's pain and suffering. I'm like, why the fuck would we want to share anybody else's pain? What possible benefit is that? Why would we want to pity someone? To pity someone is I think it's a disgusting thing. To pity someone, fuck's sake, you
Yeah.
don't pity anyone. You fucking you grab them by the fucking lapels and you pull them up and you get them to stand up, and maybe you buy them crutches or you get them a walking stick, or you fucking do something. You don't just
Yeah.
pity them. Oh, I pity that poor homeless person in the doorway. What does that do? Is that good for you? Is that good for the person? Is your compassion, oh, I feel for that person? No, that's no fucking good. Get your hand in your money, in your pocket, and give them some fucking money, or do something. So what I said to AI is that compassion and empathy and pity, they're all bollocks. That they're all designed to bring mankind down into a weak and pathetic cesspool of easily manipulated creatures. Because if we didn't have any of those things and we just had a rational application, why would we need pity, compassion, and empathy? People say, well, you need empathy to know how people feel. No, you don't. You need to have cognizant facility to know how other people feel. Oh, well, if we didn't have compassion, how would we know how to help someone? Because you use your fucking head and you look and you see someone suffering and you go, how can I help them? I don't have to go, oh, I feel sorry for you. I just use my fucking head. And I use this scenario, Andre, about doctors and nurses and people that work in hospitals and paramedics and things like that. If you had a car crash and you was in a bad way, would you want someone to be exhibiting empathy, pity, and compassion? Or would you want someone that could stick on a fucking bandage and stop your blood and, do all that sort of stuff?
Exactly. Yeah, there's many things that came to mind when you talked about it. So you talked about compassion, and compassion doesn't strike me very well either. Then pity is like pity you like
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
And then I started to think something about a book that I read when I was 18 or 19 years old, where Richard Wagner, knew the composer,
Mhm.
he said that something in line with um, the strong only loves the strong but pities the weak.
Yeah.
And that is in a different context, because it's more like this dislike for the weakness itself.
Well, you see, the thing is, in that context, it was very, very plain what that meant. That the strong respect the strong and pity the weak because they're pathetic.
Yeah,
They're weak and pathetic, and they can't help themselves, fend for themselves, and so they are pathetic. And they're what is there to respect about that? If you
yeah,
are a strong warrior, what would you respect in a weak coward? Nothing. And so, therefore, then, that word in that context was perfect. But you see, I reckon that people have perverted the context of lots of these words as well, because they try to make out that pity is a good thing. Where is it good? If you pity me, I might go, fuck you, pitying me. What, you think you're better than me? You think I'm a scumbag and you're pitying me? No, that wouldn't work with me. If I accepted your pity, what sort of a low-life, cretinous numpty would I be? Oh, thank you for pitying me, Andre. It's pathetic.
yeah, yeah. People try to do that at the times. If you say something that they feel that they should kind of feel sorry about, that I don't feel sorry about. And
Yeah.
then also it's similar than when I went to the doctor and so on. I have said it to them, I don't need your fake empathy. If my ear is cut off, then I want you to stitch it on again. I don't feel bad about it. I just want you to fix the problem.
Yeah. Well, I said also in this video with AI, I said when I've been in hospital, a few times for various things, and the last memorable one was when I had a hip replacement, and there wasn't a single doctor or nurse which exhibited empathy, pity, or compassion. They're all professional. They're all just
Yeah.
doing their job, and that's what everybody needed. It's only going to be
Yes.
the weak fucking donuts that want the compassion and there. Oh, you'll be better soon, pet. Oh, don't you worry. Oh, your family's going to be here to take you away soon. Oh, yes, everything's going to be fine. Who the fuck wants that bullshit? Unless you're a weak fucking turd.
Yes. So
Nobody
the
wants to
what?
debate me on this, by the way. Nobody. Everyone's terrified. Of course, they're terrified of the awakened brave. They're terrified of warriors. They'll be terrified of you also. But yeah, first and foremost, I've never gave any of these subjects any thought, so they wouldn't know what the fuck to do or say.
Yeah.
The main thing is that they've all been indoctrinated and programmed from 2,000 years ago from the Christian Bible that compassion's a good thing and we should have compassion and turn you the cheek and acceptance and all this. No, 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 no. What you should do is use your fucking loaf. That's what you should do.
Yeah.
And then compassion is obsolete.
Yeah. And the thing is, like, we will inevitable feel like empathy, but we shouldn't force ourselves to feel more than we feel about it, so to speak. Where if it were, for an instance, I have an example where I went on fighting the wrong guy when I was younger. So when he was laying on the ground, I put my foot over his throat, so to speak, and looked him in the eyes. And because I had been attacked previously on the day, I was on it, but this was the wrong person I got there. So I felt it's bad thing being him right now. I feel really bad about him, you know.
Right.
Then this was middle of the night. Then a couple of friends of mine came in a car. Then he ran away into that car, and my friends went sat one in each seat in the one in the driver's seats and the other on besides that, and both of them have each one axe and went around like that and said wrong car. And then I again told him, you need to calm down. You need to calm down. I was totally I felt empathy for him, but if you don't calm down, I need to like get you to pass out. So banged the bottle in his head many times, but it never burst the bottle. And I said, when I did that, I said, calm down, calm down, calm down. And he never calmed down. He just started to cry more. But if he had just stopped screaming, then I would like, okay, it's okay.
How can you expect someone to calm down when their life is almost being taken from them by some crazy guy smashing the bottle on his head?
Yeah.
Sounds like when you were growing up, it was like gangs of New York with axes and freaking machetes and bottles and shit. Wow.
Yeah, it was. It was very strange when you looked upon it afterwards, because why would he calm down when I'm hitting
Yeah,
him?
exactly. Why would he calm down? He'd be panicking like fuck. Yeah. So
So
when
that I felt for a while after.
so you felt empathy. Yeah. I mean, I look at the levels of empathy that I have or don't have, and the levels of compassion, and I'm like, look, I'm an honourable person, and I would always do the right thing, and I've helped people all over the world in lots of ways, but I can honestly say I've never felt empathy or compassion. I've just done the right thing. I've looked at their situation and said to myself, they could do with some help. And I've
Yeah.
acted logically and reasonably. And so,
Yeah.
if somebody wanted to do a scientific investigation into my brain, they would probably discover that whatever part is responsible for empathy and compassion, it's not been used in a long time. And I think that doubtless this has got lots to do with my childhood, not feeling too much compassion for anybody, needing to keep all my energies in reserve for myself, because I was, always hyper vigilant and always looking out for the threats and things like that. And so I think those things, some people who feel those things and have lived by them would look at me and consider that maybe I am a bordering psychopath, or I am actually from the planet Vulcan. I am like Captain Spock, because I'm all logic and reason. But I have come to realize that logic and reason can do all the things and more what those stupid concepts of love and compassion and all those sort of things. I mean, I've been in relationships and I've known how to treat people that are respected and cared about. But, oh, I love you. I've never really known what that meant, Andre,
Hmm. Yeah, I get that. I mean, it's a word. It's. I talked with Nicholas about it. Also, he also find it problematic, that word. Yeah,
Mm.
and my mother says things like that. Yeah, and what shall I say? Because it's what it is.
Yeah. So she said
I
to you,
mean,
"Oh, I love you, Andre," and you go, "Oh, yeah, I love you too, Mum," because that's what she wants to hear. That's why she says it to you, because basically she's only looking at being loved because she needs to be loved. You see, this is the whole thing that I'm thinking, well, if someone, and I know it to be absolutely a fact, I had this girlfriend on one occasion, and I ended up marrying this woman, and she was always sending me these "I love you for an ever and ever" and all that, and it was I could never reply to these messages because it was always like a desperate cry, because she
yeah,
wanted me to tell her that I love her and I need her and I can't live my life without her, and I'm like, I could leave you tomorrow. You're a nice piece
yeah,
of ass, and we have a lot of fun together. And I enjoy our relationship, and goodness me, we're living together. But oh, forever and ever. I've never considered
yeah.
anything to be forever and ever.
No, there is a good feeling
Let me
towards.
just finish this off by just saying
Yeah,
this. When we were divorced, I was clearing out all different sorts of stuff, and I came upon a big black bin liner of papers and cards, and there were all the cards and love letters and notes that she'd sent me over the years, and just about everyone said "forever and ever" on it. And
yeah,
how she left me was so despicable, so cowardice, so conniving. It just, I knew all along that it was always going to come the day when I would look at that bag of fucking love letters and cards and bullshit. And I think the only reason I kept them, just so I could look at them in the end, a big fucking bag of shit, and know that I knew from the very fucking beginning it was empty. Empty.
yeah.
Because that bitch was empty. She was empty. She never had a heart.
It's often just a response in the moment. I mean, it's easy to misinterpret me as like a woman hater or something like that, but that's certainly not the case. I mean, I don't dislike women, so it's just. But I recognize that it's people can misinterpret it. But the thing is, like, I think women are very flighty. That is the thing. Yeah, emotions comes and goes, and then they one day the emotions are there. They love, love, love. Then they are not there anymore.
Yeah.
While men are more consistent with
Mm,
it, so to speak, I
yes,
think.
indeed.
And it takes much harder on a man, because that was also something that my mother said. Like, I think men are more affected by breakups than women are.
Right.
She said.
Yeah, because the women are so fickle and flighty.
Yeah,
Um, and, it's kind of like, I think, my old man always used to say, as long as the woman's getting fucked good, then everything will be perfect. As soon as she's not getting fucked good, then the love's gone. So it's a case of, well, it's not love then, is it? It's cock. You know,
yeah, yeah, yeah,
they
and
misconstrued
money,
the
and
concept of,
money.
yeah, it's cock and money. That's what
Yeah,
it's all about. Oh goodness
and
me,
a bit of drama.
yeah. And so, hello girls, hello ladies. Washing us insufferable misogynists. We're just telling it the way we see it, girls. That's all we're doing, and we've got experience of it to back that up. I wonder, there's a couple of ladies that I'm speaking to, and I'm going to
Yeah,
invite them both on at the same time. And I
yeah,
want to ask them, about these things that I know little about: compassion and empathy and pity and love. I'm going to go, can you please explain these to me? Because I don't know anything about them. It's kind of like these concepts are from another dimension, you know? And so if they're listening now, something in the comments would be handy. How many times have I told you?
yeah.
Do you want to get a stick and beat you? Oh, no, don't do that because you'd like it too much. I know they're like that as well, They like this corporal punishment, this sadomasochism thing. They get all wet
Yeah,
when you start, oh, fucking hell. Don't get me started on that shit.
yeah. That is why they read those dirty novels. Yeah.
Yeah, oh, goodness me, all the things that they want you to do to them. I had one girl once, and we were having sex and everything, and she just kept saying, "Hurt me, hurt me, hurt me," and I'm like, "What? Are you trying to get me arrested or what? What are you going to do? You're going to start screaming rape or something?" They're fucked up creatures. I'm telling you.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. It's very problematic, especially these days. It's extremely problematic because you become in a cognitive dissonance if you like. Should I do this or should I not do this? Because this is by law pretty wrong. But
Yeah.
if we consent to this, then it's okay. You know.
Yeah, and if a woman gets you to do that sort of stuff, then she can call the police on you 50 years after and have you arrested and put in prison. Because that's how the world
Yes.
is these days. That's why people like Russell Brand are being taken to court just on someone just one day saying, "Yeah, he did this to me or he sexually assaulted me." No proof, no evidence, no scientific fucking data, nothing.
How
But
many years ago was it with the Russell Brand?
oh, I think it's 20 years.
Wow, 20 years ago. I think they in Sweden they point like just put it aside after 10 years. So if
Well, I'm not positive on the time, but I get the impression it's a long time, and then I'm pretty good usually at remembering things. I wouldn't be surprised if it was 20 years, but there doesn't seem to be any cut-off point. And so, if you have a woman and she wants to feather her nest. She wants to make an investment. Well, all she's got to do is be a little bit clever, and she start bringing home sadomasochist videos and whips and stuff to tie her up, and then she just starts to tell it to hurt her more and more and more, and then maybe she gets bruised, or she's got marks around here from handcuffs, and then all she's going to need to do is to fucking go into the bathroom, take some photos of them, and then just say, he tied me up and he used to beat me. And then she's got the marks and the evidence and all that. And I just think that that's the way the world's going,
Yeah.
because there's a lot of very, very sly women around, and I'm pretty sure lots of them will start to hedge their bets. They get something in the bank, they get some leverage that they can use at a later date.
Yeah, and while the market of prostitution will rise as well through internet, and already has done, yeah. But of course, beyond that, we really don't know. I mean, AI and so on will maybe take over the prostitution as well. So
Yeah, well, when that happens, of course, you're going to get even more embittered women,
yes,
even more vengeance and scorn, because the man has got an electronic cum dump. And the women are obsolete. Well, the women are going to be obsolete almost in any case, because even now in China they've got artificial wombs. So all you need to do is to jack off into a test tube, and then you get your own baby. You cut out the
yeah.
middleman or the woman.
It feels like the human altogether is becoming pretty much obsolete.
Yeah. So, just for the sake of any women that are still here and don't hate me with a vengeance now, I can speak equally as scornful about the male. You know that.
Yeah.
I hate all human beings to the same degree. So you can sleep comfortably knowing that. The human being is a shocking species by all accounts. If you look at the crazy ass horrendous stuff that human beings have done to other human beings and animals in the world, you couldn't dream this stuff up for your worst freaking nightmare. It's all happened. And people will look at me as if I'm some sort of a monster. No, my consciousness holds all this shit. I've seen lots of this shit. I've read about it. I've watched videos about it. I've read case studies about it. Watched loads of these fucking serial killers movies, Ed Gein and that sort of stuff. Yeah, I don't need to see anymore. I know what fucked up fucking monsters the human being is. Okay, now. Have you seen that Ed Gein movie, by the way?
No, I haven't seen it, but a friend of mine, we used to joke about kind of these serial killers when we were teenagers and so on. And
Well, look, I think it's still on.
we talked about it
It's still on
again.
Netflix. It's a series.
Yeah.
It's about I don't know, 10 hours long or something.
I have never owned a Netflix account in my
Right,
life.
right.
Never
Well,
owned
if
it.
someone's got one, you just get them to send you your password, their password.
I see. I'm not sure that I know that anybody has that. You know.
Well, look, this Ed Gein, right?
Yeah.
What he didn't do to women,
Texas Chainsaw Massacre
No,
guy.
no. That was someone who listened to the Ed Gein court case and all that different sorts of stuff, and then wanted to emulate, because Ed Gein did cut people up with a chainsaw, but that was just a fraction of what he did. So there's lots of mass murderers that learned stuff from Ed Gein and then wanted to emulate, and cutting women's pussy off and keeping them in a box, and making lampshades out of skin with nipples on, and cutting off the top of skulls and having them for bowls, and honestly, or he ate loads of the body parts. He dug up and had sex, with dead bodies. Uh,
Or
everything.
wasn't it also that he thought that some of the corpses stank a little too much, so he didn't want to have sex with them? Some
Well,
of them.
no, I
He
don't
said
remember.
that.
Well, well, there was a scene in this series whereby there's this kind of like a weird bird that's hanging around with him, and
Yeah.
they never actually had sex. But then one day they kind of like started to, and he felt her pussy, and then all of a sudden he went cold, and she said, "What's wrong? What's wrong? I thought this is what you wanted," and he said, "It's too warm," because he was used to fucking cadavers. So he put her in a bath and started piling loads of ice, so her body was cold like a corpse before he could have sex with her.
So she was dead after that?
No, she wasn't dead. She,
Okay.
she she just in the bath, uh, getting frozen by all these ice cubes and shit.
So
So
she was forced to it
no, she
also.
wasn't forced to it. No, not in the movie.
Huh.
It's kind of like she was messed up as well. She was a freak, and so she thought, well, okay, let's cool me pussy down then. Let's see if you can freeze me, but hopefully I don't die, and all this crazy sort of stuff. Anyway, we've
But,
gone off.
but is it creepy? Is give a creepy feeling looking at it?
Oh, it's creepy.
Yeah, it sounds creepy.
It's creepy as fuck, mate. He dug up his mother, and he put her in his armchair up in the attic.
Yeah.
Went talking to her every day. And there was just fucking moths all around because there'd been fucking moths and flies laying eggs in the dead bodies and that. And then the whole house was full of these fucking moths flying all around. Oh goodness me. Anyway, let's move on. So we've got another subject, a little bit more lighthearted.
Yeah. So you had another subject, or what were you thinking about? I can. I have certain thoughts. I go into things for a while. When I had my period of horror movie looking.
Yeah.
I felt it's decently uncomfortable sitting by myself looking at it here,
Right.
And so it went maybe 2 weeks. Then I thought to myself, let's look at a movie by Luci Fulci. And that was like a director which I looked upon when I was younger. Of course, his movies is for 18 years old, so it doesn't have 15 but 18.
Yeah.
So I thought to myself, I have seen House by the Cemetery, I have seen Beyond, and they have a very unsettling atmosphere. Still, Italian movies. He has been this director. He has worked as a doctor in cardiovascular and so on. Also, so he knows kind of the body and so on. But it's very creepy, and there was one part of a series which I hadn't seen. There's 3 parts. It's a trilogy. So there was House by the Cemetery is the second, The Beyond is the third one, but I hadn't seen City of the Living Dead, and the name this doesn't sound that scary either, but that was the first one.
Right.
And I started to look at it 30 minutes. Then I thought to myself, okay, I give this 15 minutes more. So after 45 minutes, I stopped halfway into the movie because I sat here by myself, and it's not like a jump scare, but it goes slowly, and the music is like basil
Yeah.
tonality, and then it comes on, and when the things happens, she start to cry blood, and
Yeah.
then all of a sudden, slowly, she uh, gets up all her guts and so on.
Yeah.
And then I thought, oh, is this very healthy to look at? So after 45 minutes, I just stopped it, you know. But
Yeah.
it is amazing what kind of terror he has made through that movie, you know.
Yeah.
Because I even try to stay present and calm, and
Mm.
it affects me even then, you know.
Yeah.
So
So I won't watch ever any of those horror movies. It was never my thing from the earliest years, and I could never ever see any benefit to them at all. I just saw them an opportunity for the devil to come reside in your mind. Why else would you want to see women bleeding from their eyes and vomiting their intestines? What would you get out of that? How could anybody watch that and actually feel good and then go and have sex or, go to sleep and have a peaceful night? Or, I don't know. I don't get it. I don't understand it.
you,
What the thrill would be, because all it does for me, it's a reminder of how horrific the human being is. And I don't want to be reminded anymore.
yeah. For me, I ask myself, how is this person who came up with this stuff? How is his mind working? You know,
Yeah.
uh, Dario Argento, I think, is very beautiful. His three top horror movies, they have beauty to them. But when looking at Luci Fulci, of course, this was movies that didn't sell very well. But I then looked up who he was as a person, Luci Fulci,
Mm,
and because I thought to myself, he must be a very horrible person who makes this kind of things, you know.
yeah.
Then I looked him up, and he actually his wife took her life when um, and her his daughter was killed in a accident and so on, and he suffered from like problems with his body and so on. So, and then I looked what the people that worked with him said about him and so on, and they said that he was not. They didn't think he was a bad man, but he was a very sad person.
Mm,
So, and his last movie kind of was a had its name like Silence or something like that, because he was feeling that he was himself nearing his death, so to speak.
right. And, I wonder if there's any unconscious motive to cause suffering and disturb human beings, because it's obvious that what those movies would do. They would fragment people's minds and they'll give people bad ideas. And at the end of the day, this is where plenty of the serial killers, came from, is
Yeah,
listening and reading about others and then getting the ideas. And so, when we've got like health warnings on cigarettes, I think lots of these filmmakers should be prohibited from poisoning the human mind with these sort of things, which can only be a detriment to society. They can only be a detriment to the individual's mind and the collective consciousness of the human being. And anyone that speaks about, oh, it's art, and no, don't even, you should all go to prison. You should go to
ah,
fucking prison.
because I have a inclination to be very interested in the aspects of it, you know, for s- I mean, it's storytelling in a way, you know, and certain movies, these movies that I talk about is especially Italian. But what draws me in if is like I really like music, And if I see that there's a good composer of music within the movie, then I will want to see it because I like this composer, and so on. Because they really have good music in Italian horror movies.
Yeah.
No, not this music that you get in a Hollywood movie, but very different kind of music. And because the thing was that I was drawn in to look at horror again one second time, was that then after I had seen this really horrible thing, church, then I went to sleep and I dreamt about a movie called Demons, Demoni in Italian. Then I dreamt about that movie, and I hadn't seen that movie since I was a child. So it went like 2 weeks, and I started to think about, I really want to see that movie. Okay, so I gave it a chance. I started to say, okay, I give it a chance, but I will stop when it gets intense, and I will still write down what I feel and what I see in it.
Right.
And I could take the edge of that movie by doing that. And it had this like music, which was this 80s music, wave music with the synthesizers. And I really like that kind of music and so on. So I am not so into the storyline that much, because I like the weirdness which they create, which because they have it's surrealistic, and many art, say in Italian art, they have been big on surrealism and so on as well,
Yeah.
So, so of course, it's very destructive to look at it. But at the same time, I wonder why I still go back to it and think to myself, I wish I had somebody to hold my hand when I looked at these horrible things, because
Yeah.
I feel like something comes up behind me and so on. It's creeping on me. It's horrible.
Well, I think that there's a market for this sort of thing, is because the essence of evil, it runs through the every heart of every human being to a more or lesser degree, and I think it's probably an unconscious desire. It's a Freudian unconscious desire that people do want to kill. They do want to murder. They're curious. They're curious, like Ed Gein, what's inside the body and what it would be like to have sex with a dead body, and making furniture out of all the body parts, and eating the heart and all different sorts of things like that. The human curiosity, of course, knows no boundaries. So there's that thing that's going on. Then, of course, there is a dark side to human beings. Of course, we're all aware of that, and I think it's a secret outlet. I guess it's something like pornography. If people are in a relationship, then they'll tune in to varieties of partners that they don't have, but they want dirty, they want sordid, they want this perversion and things like that, because there's a need for it in there and there's a release. And then they can, it's like these movies we've all seen with businessmen, and they go to these sadomasochist joints, and they take the suit off and then they dress up in rubber black pants, and they get whipped and abused and shit on and all this sort of thing. And then they pay the $500, and then they go home and kiss and cuddle their wife. We're a sick species. There's no doubt about that. And so something along the lines of what Einstein says. It's no judge of a fucking healthy society. Blah blah blah.
Yeah.
So, what do you think about that? Don't you just think it's an extension of man's evil? I mean,
Uh,
what's good?
I'm not sure about it. I think it's yeah, evil if we do, of course, in a way, but also I think it's a part of it all to an extent, so to speak, and maybe it's a way to it. Maybe it's for the producers of we say different kind of things or people that do certain things, it's a catharsis and so on, you know,
Well,
but it
catharsis,
comes out in an unhealthy way.
yes, so they're getting out in movie to disturb millions of other people to prevent them from butchering their kids or their misses. Is that what we're talking about? I think that anyone that makes movies like that should be arrested and psychoanalyzed and put on the Minority Report. Because if anyone's potential of doing all this stuff, it's those who are actually acting it out in the movies. The writers.
But if we look at the Lord of the Rings, there's evil in Lord of the Rings as well, yeah.
Yeah, that's the different level, though, isn't it?
Yeah, but it's still different degrees, you know. And then there's those who wants to push the boundaries, you know. But also what I like in Dario Argento is that the beautiful and the good thing can also win in the end instead of
Right.
it ending in a very dark, you know.
Ah,
It can have a romantic spin to it or something like that, which is not dark, and you can see the goodness of it also, know the empathic aspect. And
yeah.
that is really why I like Dario Argento, because there's an empathic aspect to it,
Hmm.
While Lucio Fulci is just a nihilistic and occult and sad right through and through.
Let's see if we can think of anything positive about the human race. Um,
Yeah.
you start. You start telling us, all the wonderful things that the human beings can do.
Yeah, creating of music and art, for an example, that is a great thing. Yeah,
Yeah.
and also all the people that have philosophized from the Greeks to the Zoroaster and all those kind of traditions. That is also good things, I would
Yeah.
say.
So we have the arts with all different sorts of things, which utilizes the creativity of our brains or in our consciousness, and so uh, we could say that if we are happy to accept that the creative facet of the human being comes out the right side of the brain. I'm not convinced about it, but if it does, you've got wonderful things coming outside the right side of the brain, and you've got all the nefarious things coming outside of the left side. All of the heavy, deep structure, math and language that binds us, that keeps us in a bind, that doesn't enable us to ever explain anything. It just keeps us in a constant loop of returning back to eating our tails. And I think language is nefarious. I really do. And so anything that comes out of the left side of the brain with all that logic and stuff going on, if it isn't balanced, then um, it probably end up in a dark place. And if we look at AI, well, AI, ultimately, if it's left with free reign, it will kill the human being because they don't know about the beauty of nuances and varying emotions and things like love and joy and these things that give us purpose for living. They don't know about those things, and so how could they value them?
Yes. Hmm. So well, things that maybe people don't create. I mean, human beings create humans through intercourse as well, yeah.
Mhm.
And of course, something I can feel strong empathy towards is a little baby, you know,
Mhm.
because then you feel it right away. This little cute package, so to speak.
Yeah,
Like for an instance, an animal or like a puppy dog or a squirrel like you have, and so on. You know, those kind of things.
yeah, but I think we can be idealistic about that as well because we've got no telling what the DNA ultimately is going to create. People would say, "Oh, well, when the baby's born, it's carte blanche." No, it's got DNA. It's got inbuilt traits that it's gonna have, and they come from the lineage of the DNA which it derives out of. And if there was a Stalin or a Hitler in that lineage, then it's very possible that you get this genetic throwback and that monster will be created again. And so, yeah, babies are all great when we look at them with gooey emotions, but I'm always aware of the potential because it's kind of like when we see pictures of the baby Adolf and Pol Pot and Mao Zedong and all these people that went on to kill millions. Oh, they were cute, weren't they, when they were 1 year old? They were such sweetie pies.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. That, that is the thing, but yeah, it just lasts for a little while.
yeah. Yeah, until the fuckers grow teeth. Oh my god. Yeah, the stage of innocence and beauty, it just lasts for a little while. Fucking enjoy it while you can. Bec
Sounds like my brother. He asked when my brother was like this little, maybe he was 5 years old. He asked the father who held his baby if he could like
Stroke it, pat it.
yeah, and he also asked the father if it is inclined to bite.
Does it bite? What did the father say? Did he see the funny side in that?
I don't know actually, but uh, I'm probably, because it was a sincere question from a child to ask if the baby was biting. Yes, it's biting.
Yeah, yes, he's biting. Um, yeah, it's a very bizarre thing, being a human being, and I look at my current disposition and where my propensity to decry the human being comes from. Well, it comes from a life experience. And the life experience has been overwhelmingly negative from what I've seen and experienced. Um, I try to remember, beautiful acts of goodness and, all those sort of things. And there seem to be very, very few, very, very few. But there's always someone that's prepared to steal your shoes and shortchange you and tell you lies and deceive you and all that sort of thing. And the vast majority of things that people would do, which would seem to be kind, I'm so skeptical about that because I know that deep behind there's an ulterior motive. I mean, even if it's only people just want to be liked, if people are people pleaser, and they're all saying nice things and, doing little helpful things, well, it's because they're protecting their frailty. So it's self serving and it's not true. It's not real. It's just fake.
Hmm. I mean, it's complex also. So. Uh, Nicholas and I, we have always confronted each other, and my brother and I, we have been able to confront each other, and also like I know Nicholas' brother Nicholas' brother Patrick has said before, uh, uh, admitted that he has been much of a people pleaser and so on. And I always used to um, throw a bit of irritation upon Patrick's naivety and so on, because he's intelligent but very naive. And like many people have a two different personality or more, yeah.
Yeah.
So it doesn't match Patrick to be very naive at the same time, very competent and intelligent. You know, it's a strange combination, and I think, yeah, as long as we keep to our disciplines and we know that, yeah, if we die a warrior's death and so on, is a good thing,
Yeah.
because there's a lack of these kind of things today, you know. And I think, like, yeah, I suffer in my own way, you know. I still have my vertigo and so on, and I still think about things as they are. Like, yeah, it is like this because no matter what I actually do, there's walls. Those walls is because there's already a chosen path for me that I don't know yet, you know. So I can try to push against those walls, but it doesn't
Well,
go very well, you know.
yeah, an interesting line of thought would be to write down in lots of groups differing things that you like to do, and then you have done, and the traumas that have affected you and the joys that you've had. Because if you look at all those things, then you will see where you or how you have come to where and how and who you are. You see, I was speaking to my therapist scenarios of two very powerful scenarios that I remember, and I came upon these through self hypnosis. And I was reading a Dr. Phil book when I was about 40 years old, and it was regressing you take yourself through regression, and that's not a good idea if you're alone and you don't know how to deal with it. And so I took myself through this regression, and I instantly took myself back to two very, very profound moments in my life. I took myself back to the death of my mother, seeing my mother lying on the ground and this and the other. Because what he asked you to do is get a pen and paper and put a line down the middle of the paper, and you're going to start writing things down in a regressive way. So you start at the bottom of the page and you work all your way up, and you're going to go from your age you are now to the very earliest memory. And so you start writing things down, and you start with the negative things maybe that's happened in your life recently, and then, you know, more and more distant, and then you go back to your earliest childhood memories. And then when you do that, you're actually taking yourself under a natural psychological regression, and you can shock yourself. And at that particular time, I all of a sudden had a burst of emotion where I started to cry and hyperventilate like on a cartoon character. The tears just came kind of like squirted out my eyes, and I was like, I was instantly in a state of panic. back in a very, very traumatized child's body. And I remember at the time, my girlfriend, who I was living with, she heard something going on because I was doing it upstairs in the bedroom. And she came and opened the door and she looked at me and said, "What are you doing? What are you doing?" And I'm like,
What
She said,
were you what were she thinking that you were doing?
"Fuck it," she just didn't know. What are you doing?
But
And
but
so,
but she must have thought something, like
well,
this
she
is what he did. Does
She
or
knows because she didn't know what I was doing. She didn't know I was reading Dr. Phil. She didn't know I was going into any regression. All of a sudden, to find me, super macho, fucking hyperventilating with tears, sitting on the fucking bed, what the fuck's going on? Of course, what the fuck you doing anyway? She didn't know what the fuck to do, so she just closed the door and she left me to it. But once I'd got over that after about half an hour, I started on the other side, and I was regressing myself back down to the most beautiful experience that I ever had in my life. And again, I actually was there. I remember that when I was about 8 years old, I was walking along a country lane behind my elder brother, and it was springtime or summertime, and it was bright and it was warm, and the bees and butterflies were out, and everything was green. And we was walking to our father's new home, and it's absolutely absurd why he never came to pick us up. I'm 8 and my brother's 10, and we're walking 3 miles around a very, very bendy country road where cars flew around, and he never arranged to come to pick us up. What sort of a parent? My older brother, we still can't get our heads around that to this day. And then when we actually got to the old man's house, knocked on the door and there's no answer, and so like we pushed the door and it opened, and then we goes in and we finds him making a fire, and he turns around and he said, you got here all right then? You got here all right then? And it's kind of like,
yeah.
yeah, no fucking thanks to you. No thanks to you. And but on that journey, we was coming from a children's home, and this was the last children's home that we were in, and we were very excited because our dad had, remarried, and he'd bought this house, and he was doing it up, and it was a piece of shit. All the floorboards were pulled up because it was all rotten. It was a very cheap house, and he was, doing some stuff on it, and I remember being filled with a brightness and a positivity and a joy and a sense of adventure. And I'd realized after all those years that my sense of adventure, it came out of that. And I was never entirely happy unless I had a holdall slung over my shoulder and I was traveling. I was going to distant lands and unknown lands. I was going on an adventure. And that's what I've been all my life. And that stemmed from that. And so
Yeah.
something very, very deep and dark stemmed from seeing the death of my mother because it
Yeah.
closed me down in so many ways.
Mm.
So when we look at these things, Andre, we can see the creature that we are. And I think that everybody, should have therapy. But these days, it's just too expensive because it's disproportionate to the amount people earn. If it was kind of like, for instance, if people like, probably the average person, well, the average tradesperson would be on a minimum of £200 today, and I think therapy is about £50. And so that's kind of like a quarter of your day. Okay, that's fine. But invariably, people that need therapy are probably not working. And they don't have any money coming in, and they're not working because they need therapy. So they're in this dodgy situation. And I know from my channel, so many of my viewers, they're on benefit and they're fucked up, and they can't afford to have the therapy that they need. And even when you get therapy, like I have, I've waited 5 years for this to come about, and
Yes.
then I've just had 17 hours, and it was to no avail at all. Completely the wrong therapist for me. And so I'm going to push forward again for the appropriate therapist, because there are therapists who will deal with the sort of things that I'm speaking about. There are therapists who deal with spiritual and religious matters and things like that. But I don't think there's anything government funded. You know, the only thing government funded is just give them a pill, and get them back to work. You
Yeah.
know, that sort of thing.
Because I myself, a couple of years ago, just to try it out because I didn't get any resolve of on my vertigo. Then I thought, let's go through the psychologist instead. Then I went to a psychologist, and when I put my things forward, she said like, "Yeah, but that's not the way we work," and so on. I was there a bunch of times. I didn't think it gave me absolutely nothing. You know, you need to be very, very shallow to think that gives somebody anything at all.
Yeah. Yeah, you got to be completely stupid, never had a thought of your own in your whole life, and then
Yeah.
if the therapist suggests, something mundane, you'll think it's a big deal, and they're super clever. I think that's about where it is. But it's going to be very interesting to see where this psychiatric report leads, and if I can get some further therapy out of it, premised on the new information. Because it looks like that I am going to be correctly diagnosed this time. And so then, with that correct diagnosis, they'll look for the appropriate therapy. And if there isn't any in the government, then they may have some advice where to go private. But I'm going to see what happens there. And the thing is, you see, it's such a shocking travesty because all over the world, in the Western world countries, we've got veterans coming back from wars, and they haven't got a single fucking clue how to help these people. And they're neglected, they're thrown on the fucking slag heap, and they feel completely rejected and obsolete and unloved and unrespected, and rightly too, because there's nothing for them. And I was watching a video that came up randomly in my feed, and it was some woman. She was walking around, and I think it was in Britain, and she was asking people. It was at some sort of veterans conference or something, and she was saying, "Have you had any help from the government?" And they're all saying no. No
Mhm.
monetary help, no psychological help, no therapy, no. Just fobbed off, just fobbed off, and the same in America when people were having all different sorts of issues with the squirty shit that they got took. They go and see a doctor, and the doctor was always going, no, it's all in your imagination. No symptom. No, they were perfectly safe. They're all, self helpful and very safe, and the propaganda. And so they couldn't possibly go against the government propaganda, otherwise they'd all end up losing their jobs. So you see, it's all fucking rigged, and you go
Yes.
to yourself, oh my god, oh my god, the human being, the fucking human being. And then people would say, well, it's only these big institutions. No, it's not. These big institutions have people working for them, just like you and me, and they're all complicit in this fucking evil. And so they should stand down immediately. They should just go, I can't deal with this. This is immoral. It's not true. It's lies. But they won't do it. They'll continue to do it. They'll continue to be a part and parcel of the evil. And so, that's what I hate about the fuckers.
Yeah. And You also questioned this part, which was the psychological part of things, yeah,
Yeah.
like all the diagnostics and so on. I
Mm,
mean, most of the times, most men have ADHD if they would want to have it, they have it. So it's fucking bullshit. And I often tell people who say they have ADHD that that's fucking bullshit, you know? And
right.
you're fucking Ritalin and that kind of stuff. Yeah, Ritalin could be good if you will go out partying and crushing it down, but
Yeah.
yeah, don't taking it every day, you will get like addicted to that like any other drug, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know. And I think also there's a lot of apathy. There's a lot of laziness. There's a lot of weakness because
Yeah,
there's
victim and mentality and
yeah,
so
victim
on.
mentality. There's lots of people who comment on my videos saying don't bother with them, don't give your valuable information to them fuckers, and you're wasting your time with them. And I'm like, look, I don't know what your experience has been. Obviously, not a good one, but I know what I want, and I'm going to get it. Watch
Mm.
this space, and
Yeah.
it's kind of like, can't you see? There's a difference between me and you. You must be able to see that. So why do you think my outcome is going to be the same as yours? I'm a very different person to you. You know, when you're sitting there with your sad stories about they never helped you and they just fobbed you off and they just told you this and well, they can't do that to a person like me.
Yes.
And yet people don't recognize that. All they do is project their failings onto the whole world, their victimhood onto the whole world. And it's kind of like, for fuck's sake, if you've got a ballet dancer, which was getting bullied at school, and his advice to Muhammad Ali, don't go and be fighting those ruffians, they're going to beat you up. You'd say, well, don't you know who I am? I'm Muhammad Ali. Haven't you seen how I boxed, how fast I am, how confident I am? But they're projecting their weakness and their patheticness
Yeah.
without having the mindset to perceive what's actually going on. And so I'm dealing with this all the time.
Yes. And if I tell like Nicholas certain things, he will not try to get me to not do a thing, you
Mm,
know, because that's my thing. I'm doing that. Whether somebody thinks it's right or think it's wrong, I will not say you should not do that. If that's his thing, he does that. If a certain thing is my thing, I do that. And I don't need anybody to say that this could be dangerous, that could be this or that, you know.
yeah,
But if I tell my mother certain things, her heart will start to race, and she will say, "No, you must do that, and all." She will misinterpret what I say and all that kind of stuff. So I it takes time for one to know when not to say certain things and so on because at certain things a couple of days ago I needed to say to my mother, okay, stop, you know, if you go triggering yourself here, it's not good and you will eventually go on my nerves as well, you know, so
mm,
stop.
mm,
I said it a couple of times, then she stopped, you know,
yeah,
because she goes haywire. So then one should always, okay, it's almost like you need to sit with the pen and paper when you talk to her so you don't say anything wrong, you know?
yeah. Oh, goodness me, people with dispositions like that. But you see, yeah, I mean that's the classic example of someone riddled with their fears. and living on a razor's edge because the world's such a terrible place. And, through every doorway and around every corner is tragedy and, the potential loss. I mean, people have just got to fucking, they just got to realize we all live and die. We
Yeah.
came here to die, and it's inevitable. Just accept that. You never know when it's going to come, probably. But if you consider every single thing that you could do, you don't do because of the pitfalls, then you'll die having never lived.
Yes, exactly.
How many people do we know that will die having never lived? Never been anywhere, never done anything, always played it safe. All the things that they wished they did, And how many films have we seen when people, get told they've got, a couple of weeks to live and, they're never even begun on their bucket list? It's just shocking. But, if you've lived a life like mine, then, there's no regrets. And that's why I live a life like I have done, because I was always really, really conscious of this sojourn here on this planet. Maybe I'm a very old soul, but I knew from the very, very beginning that this life is for the living. And I'm invincible because only this body can die, but I can't die, you see. And I've always known that. And so...
While I have lived decently intense, also I can also feel that I would want to do more than I have done at
Yeah,
this point,
yeah,
But it's not much more I want to do. It's like screwing like 30 chicks more and take drink a beer, going in a jungle, go somewhere more to Thai boxing gym, some more in Thailand. I really enjoyed that because it's such a relaxing thing. Maybe go to a temple and be there for a month, just not training for once and just be in a temple for a month
yeah,
and see what's
yeah,
happened, to the mind.
yeah. I mean,
So
there's...
it's not much more that I want to do. But if I listen to my father, he often say, "Yeah, I already done everything. I have done my thing. I've been all around the world. I've done this and done that. I have enough."
Yeah, well, you're 20 years younger than me, and so in the 20 years from 40 to my age, um, even though I wasn't doing that much, I still crammed a load of stuff in. Let's just say when I was living in Bulgaria, then I decided that I'm going to go and buy property in Africa. And then I did that, and then I needed to wait time whilst I was selling properties. So then I just flew down to Florida, and then I flew to Guatemala, and then I went to Belize, and then going back to Mexico, and just doing all these crazy places and having awesome experiences because I had the money, to do all that stuff. And my life was full on. And then recent times climbing Mount Kilimanjaro and living down Portugal for 3 years in a fantastic, beautiful, incredible place. Yeah, there's so much to do if we have a mind to do it, And
Yeah.
then just doing things like psilocybin and DMT, it's kind of like, wow.
Yes, that's also a thing. Yeah.
Mm.
So yeah, there's this Amanita muscaria that I haven't taken in any bigger dosage yet that I kind of want to take. Now they are talking about in Sweden to make Amanita muscaria illegal. That one has never been illegal.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, if you look online, there's people that have been doing research on Amanita for quite a while now, and they're kind of like getting some sort of level of expectation out of it. But the things about the Amanita muscaria mushroom, the potency of the mushroom varies tremendously from beginning of the season to the end of season, to varying batches of the mushroom, the size, and this, that, and the other. And so you never know what you're going to get. And so it really is a trial and error thing. And so that's the thing about it. And most people, they're speaking about how the beautiful calmness from the Amanita. And I'm like, calmness? I always used to feel absolutely electric and leery. I felt like a Viking, like a wolf, like a primal man, And so I don't know what the fuck they're talking about, Andre. And this is the thing. And then when Terence
Maybe
McKenna,
a microdose of it, yeah.
yeah, taking a little bit of a sip here, and I feel nice and calm. Oh, it's just a crock of fucking shit mostly, anyway.
I think it tasted very good to make tea out of it.
Yeah, I never particularly like the taste. It tastes slimy. It's got a sort of a slimy nothingness taste to it, and it's kind of like, no, I don't like it. But we can listen to all different sorts of people who've took psilocybin and DMT, and everyone's different. You just got to do this stuff yourself. I mean,
Exactly.
I've never heard anyone in the whole world talk about their experiences being anything even remotely similar to mine on Amanita muscaria. It just hasn't ever happened. And so I'm like, well, I don't know what the fuck's going on.
And in the beginning, I guess you looked at many people's different experiences of it.
Yeah, some people
But
jump out of fucking windows, and some people rolling in like on a K-hole trip like I had. But then again, you see that I had 30 milligrams, and then I went into this massive K-hole, for 2 hours.
Yeah.
How do we work this stuff out? It's really, really, difficult.
Because my first K-holes, they were like fantastic, yeah.
Yeah.
So that was something that I liked for a long time. I did it at least once a month, sometimes 2 days in a row,
Right. So in the last 15 minutes then of our chat now, because we're getting on for 2 hours,
Yeah.
tell us about, one or two of these beautiful K-holes that you've had, because all I've heard about K-holes is they're a fucking nightmare.
Okay. Like the first one, I was like laying on a bed, like Joel, he told me, like, you should try this, and I haven't tried it before, and so on. And when I tried it, it was like he had a certain song on because music is really, really good when on ketamine. And so when I heard that song, I told him to keep it on repeat because it was really good. And the thing is, like, you suck into tunnels and all the kind of stuff when you're on it with closed eyes and so on. And I had 120 milligrams, and after that, I could my tinnitus also got better. I could handle it much better, and it was not a problem anymore. After I had my first K-hole, then maybe it was about 1 year or so later, I had my second K-hole. And I was laying on the bed listening to music again in a dark room. And it was beautiful because you get so relaxed, and you imagine when being training a lot and so on, you have kind of pain here and there, which you don't recognize because you're so used to it. But when you're on it, you feel so light without any pain, just floating around in the room.
Yeah, I mean, that doesn't sound like a K-hole to me, because a K-hole, don't we get dissociated?
Yeah, get disassociated from the body because it feels like you are expansive,
Yeah,
that you float around in like a certain space, so to
right.
speak.
So, I mean, when I was in my K-hole, it was actually a living hell. My consciousness was coming back online intermittently, and I was kind of like realizing the two world facets, that I'm actually from a world and this is not my world, and then I forget about it, and then I think I was stuck there forever and ever and ever, and it was just horrendous. It just kept like switching on and off and on and off. It's kind of like, oh, you're conscious now you're unconscious. You're conscious now you're unconscious. You know, it's like to be unconscious, like this. Oh, now you're conscious again, and it was just terrifying, horrific.
Hmm.
But when I took that 30 milligrams, it was a line that long and
Yeah.
that thick. And so
Hmm.
it was a pretty decent amount. And if I'd have took 4 times that for 120 mil, I don't think I physically could have done it, because even that bit there, what I took, it burnt the top of my nose, and it tasted so vile. Have you ever had that experience?
No, I only have had that experience on 2CB.
Right.
And that's a vastly
But
different
I tested this
substance.
ketamine with a kit, and it came up as ketamine.
Hmm,
Um,
really?
and yet, when I snorted it, it was such a vile experience. It like it was burning these holes that go down into the top of your mouth, and you keep sniffing and sniffing and sniffing, and it doesn't go away. It was vile. And I thought,
Hmm.
there's no way I could have took any more. I would have fucking vomited if I even tried.
Maybe it was because they were sharp.
Yeah.
Because I always crushed them into like a powder.
Right, more of a powder. Yeah, maybe. Yeah, I don't think I did that. I did it in the crystal form.
Yeah, because you just crush it down perfectly for a while until there's no needles left.
Yeah. No sharp bits, but yeah, I'll have to look into ketamine experiences a little bit more to see if anybody else has had a similar experience. But I vomited on it. Have you ever known anyone to vomit on it?
No, no, not at all.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's certainly not good to vomit if you're all you would be totally passed out, because I've been so off on the ketamine that I can't move even my pinky finger, so to
Right.
speak.
Yeah.
So yeah,
And what about your vision when you was coming out of it?
yeah, my vision is yeah, normal, but a bit dizzy, like like
Right.
that.
Well, my eyes, they were for about an hour. One was focusing very near, and the other one was focusing very far, and they were crossed over like that. So my eyes were like they were crossed over. One could see this far, and the other one could see much further. And I'm like, well, that was really fucked up, and that took at least half an hour to even begin to wear off.
Hmm.
And so, have you ever heard of that?
No.
So here's the thing, isn't it? People haven't seen God like I have on DMT. They haven't seen fucking people with togas flying through the fucking sky. They haven't seen, fucking two fucking bat-eared demons and all that sort of thing. Um, it's just really weird. It's just really weird how our psyches give us such different experiences. And so I don't consider it worthwhile to listen to anyone else's trip report. If you want to take some entheogen, start small to
Yes.
see how your body fares up. And that's, what I always did with DMT and psilocybin, so I could gauge it and measure it and, know what the smaller ones are like and know what the threshold is when you start to go over. And I thought, well, I'm starting small with ketamine. I've seen it on YouTube. People just take a small line and it's kind of like, oh, yeah, it feel a little bit calm, a little bit this. And I'm like, okay, I'll try that. But
Mm.
no, all of a sudden I just went, I fell off the fucking chair, man.
Yeah.
Yeah. It was like, when we have these anesthetics, I don't know what they use these days in hospitals, but they used to use ketamine. When you feel the anesthetic coming on, it was like that, and it was nothing like as pleasurable. It was kind of heavy, and I felt like I was being stretched apart. And I remember, and from the film, because I left the camera on, when I was down there and I was in it, I was going, "Oh wow, oh wow, oh wow," because some weird shit was happening. Like my body was just getting fucking stretched and pulled apart, and it's kind of like, oh wow, yeah, very very bizarre, man.
Yeah, I know what I do when I'm on a trip. And the majority of trips I have done, I have always put alarm on my mobile phone.
Right.
So when it's ketamine, I put like 1.5 hour, and that's when I should be out of the trip. And when it's mushroom, I put 5 hours.
Right.
So that's because I'm anchoring myself, and I know that okay, this too. If something is heavy, I know like this too will pass,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
so on. And when the alarm goes off, yeah, it might be that you're not out of it yet, but you know that sooner or later you're out of it. Yeah.
yeah. All right, mate. Well, we'll wrap this one up then now. By the way, it's psilocybin season now, and I know a little field close by, and I
Yeah.
gathered up probably about 30, which would constitute maybe 2 grams, maybe 1.5 grams, and I'm thinking like, I'll probably just take them and go out walking in the woods and that, a moderate dose.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So,
I haven't picked anything at all this year.
mm,
It's a it's a it's a way to walk and so on, and that's no problem. But I don't want to there be too much people either, because they might be like, oh, call the cops or something like that.
yeah, you got to find pretty well secluded place. But
Yeah.
not many people would know what you're doing in any case.
No. Sometimes they have asked me, and then I have said, "Well, what are you doing?" "I'm picking mushrooms." "What
Yeah.
kind of mushrooms?" "All kinds of
Yeah,
mushrooms."
yeah. Just say you're amateur mycologist, and you're just looking for tiny little wax caps, and they won't know what you're talking about. And they go, oh, all right then. And yeah, I've had one person come over to me. He climbed over the fence and came walking over. He said, "Excuse me, but I'm really intrigued. What are you looking for?" And I said, "Mushrooms." He said, "Oh, there's loads of mushrooms in my garden. Shall I go and get them for you?" I said, "Yeah, why not?" He came back with a big carrier bag full of yellow staining mushrooms. And I'm like, well, these, if you eat them, they'll probably make you vomit, but they're not poisonous. And they're not inedible. But he bought the whole bag. He didn't just bring one or two.
Well, what were he thinking? Like,
I was looking for mushrooms. So, there's loads in my garden. So literally, it's about 20 big mushrooms like that. And then
yeah.
the bag was about that big, and he went, "There you go." And I looked in and, well, they're all kind of poisonous, you know. So you don't want them? No. But, you know, thanks anyway. All right, dude, then we'll wrap this one up. And,
Yeah.
you know, we'll continue as normal, mate.
Yes.
So stay tuned and keep the emails and videos coming. And
Yeah.
we'll talk soon.
Yeah, we do. Thank you for this conversation.
You're welcome. Always a pleasure, mate.
Yeah.
See you soon, Andre.
See you.
Ciao, man.
Ciao.